Hey, look, everybody. It's Jennifer and Dave.
Hi, everyone.
So, hey, listen, welcome to another episode of Building Modular. And today, Jen, we're talking all about design, right?
It all starts with good design.
It does. It all does start with good design. And we're going to try and really focus only on design today because I have this way of just going way out in the left field sometimes. And that's what I do. So, Jennifer, why are we starting with design?
Yeah, so this whole series, right, Building Modular, we're all about the process, right? Where do you start? Where do you begin? A comes before B, B comes before C. And like I said, it all starts with good design. You need a design for the home that you're going to build. Yep. And there's a lot of misconceptions out there that designing into a project that will utilize modular construction is hard.
It really is. And like you said, there is a lot of misconceptions on what you can even do modular, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people always think square, boxy, modular has no flair, no style, kind of like me, I guess. But that's all right. Let's jump into it. We're going to try and keep these episodes to 30, 40 minutes completely max, just so we don't ramble on too much. I got warned. That's what happens.
Right. But listen, comments and questions and feedback is definitely helpful. We'll be responding to those along the way. So please, if you have any, share them with us.
Yeah, please do. And if it looks like I'm not paying attention, I really am. I'm just looking at the screen and trying to see who's joining us at all times. And it looks like we have a few people. And if you are out there, type us a note. Let us know where you're joining us from. All right, here we go.
So a couple of the common myths that are out there are modular homes are ugly, boring, square, cookie cutter, limited design choices, right? Those are some of the things that we've heard. We get that very often from clients. But really, none of those are true. I mean, they are definitely square if you want them to be. Modular lends itself to a very modern design, which tends to be square in nature. In fact, we'll be showing you some of those, but it's only square if that's what you choose it to be. And they're, in terms of material choices, finishing selections, all of the options are available.
They are. In fact, let's show this slide that we have here. This is actually a slide, Jennifer, of some award-winning houses, right?
Exactly. One of them, the modern farmhouse on the bottom, is in Jamestown, Rhode Island, and the one featured above are some interior shots in a coastal home we did down in Westport, Connecticut. Yeah. And you can see we can achieve those large open spans. The one home has a beautiful rooftop deck with a great view of Long Island Sound, wraparound porches, roof lines, right? Let's talk about roof lines.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, well, you can see here with the roof lines, these aren't square, boxy houses. I mean, the way we're designing today, we can pretty much design anything that anybody else is building. And I think that's what's great about it. And I just have to say, Jen, one of the things here, and I know it's not design, you're gonna get mad, but we just had one of these houses sell. Mm-hmm. And it was amazing. That small little one on the left right there sold, and there was actually a bidding war on it. So do not think for a moment that modular homes are less or thought of less on the open market when it comes to what we're doing and real estate value, I guess is the word I want to use, right?
Absolutely. And I love that home on the left because it's a great use of mixed media, right? You have the board and batten detail, the hardy plank siding. Again, the design options are limitless. These are a few examples of homes truly outstanding. This photo is courtesy of Res4, who I know you've worked with in the past. They design into a lot of modular construction. Super fun to check out their projects and their award-winning homes as well. Yeah, they really are.
And I mean, listen, whether you're doing traditional New England style homes, you're doing modern contemporary homes, you're doing ADUs like Urban Air's doing, where it's smaller pods for assisted living, I guess, aging in place type stuff where your family moves in.
Universal design.
There you go. Is that the word?
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Universal design. So with universal designs, you're not limited, and that's what we're trying to show you here. So I think it's a very, very, strong point to make that with modular, it is a way that we build. It is a process. It is not a type of home. Would you agree with that?
I would absolutely agree with that. And again, we showed you some very classic styles, with the farmhouse styles, the modern styles. You can do your colonials, your craftsman style homes. We just did a video this past weekend featuring a craftsman style home. So you're really not limited in those choices either. This is another great slide from
this is this is actually Steve, plant prefab. Plant prefab.
Yeah, love these guys. Love the work that they're doing. Yeah. They do a lot of that. All right. Oh my gosh, I'm stuck
modern.
There. Yeah, and energy efficient construction, which is just really super.
Yeah, it really, really, truly is. Sorry about that. I'm making a mess of my full screen mode here.
That's okay. So a couple of frequently asked questions that we get as it relates to design, right? The first thing that everyone wants to know is, do you need an architect? We've worked with architects in the past.
We have.
There's a lot of amazing architects out there who truly embrace the modular theory of construction.
Yes, and we need more architects. One of the things that our industry has lacked is having that design mentality in the industry that's coming up with great designs to help us actually come up with beautiful looking homes. We use architects on occasion with clients as well. Absolutely. So, which I think is pretty interesting. And also, with the architects and the design, I think it's very, very important to understand that the way an architect's design currently is not how we design. Mm-hmm. And I think we really need to pay attention to that. And architects need to understand that there's just a different pattern you need to follow in the design process. And I know we're going to jump into that here a little bit.
No, there absolutely is. But I think it's good to talk about, because you had a terrific conversation, I think, with Sarah Logan about that from Volumetric.
I did, yeah.
And just about how we need a gateway process, if you will, in the schools, in the institutions, and really teaching this as part of design theory. Yeah. And she has so much to say on that topic. So we can reference that video in the notes, because she's really well spoken on the topic. She does all the design work for
Volumetric. Yeah, no, they're. I mean, I don't know how many junior architects or draftsmen she has underneath, but it's about 8 or so people, which I think is great. So, all right. So we talked about architects. What about standard plans?
Yeah, so of course you can choose a standard plan. If you go on a lot of modular home websites, you'll always find a bunch of standard plans. The factories often offer standard plans.
They do.
Here's the beautiful part about that. It's a starting point. You don't have to just use that plan. That plan can be modified. You can make changes to it. You can push things around if you need to, depending on your lot and the style of home that you're really looking to achieve. There's so many options out there today. It's hard to pick your favorites because there's so many good ones.
Well, there is. And, there's all kinds of different plans that come into play, right? You have a plan, you need a plan, a standard plan. And as I always say, Jen, the plan on a napkin. How many times have we sat down with people and they came in, they said, well, we were out having drinks the night before, and they start reaching in their pocket, and all of a sudden we have napkins laid out all over the table. I think the point to make with all of this is that, modular in general is a process again. So design wise, it's no different.
Right.
The way we design is different, but how we design and how you go through a process with a client is for the most part the same, right?
Yeah. I mean, it all starts by asking questions. And the best question to ask anyone when they're looking to build a home is, how do you want to live in this home? What's important to you? And every builder starts there, whether you are a track builder, production builder, custom builder, on your lot builder, that's where you start with. You may not be building for a specific client in mind, right. But there's certainly a clientele that you are designing for, or a demographic that you're designing for. Right. So it all starts with, how do you want to live in that home?
And that's really it. It's no different than anybody else. We always try and get to the value of the customer. What's important to them.
Right.
Empty nesters have a different need than, somebody like us that has a house full of kids and, need the open space and need some private space too. But that doesn't happen with a whole lot of kids. So let's move through our process, Jen. Designing a new home, partners that can help.
Sure. I mean, we already talked about architects. There are some really great ones out there. But there are a lot of design experts out there who may not necessarily have their full credentials in terms of an architect, but definitely can design a well laid out home, something that works for the client. And then you can always reach to the factory because you will have to work with them anyway. And this is where you kind of start to get a little bit different from your traditional site builders. Because we have a terrific resources at the factory in terms of engineers and folks who can manipulate the plans. Yeah. What's super cool about working with the factory so early on, once you feel good about the plan, is you can build it.
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? Because the factory's looking at it from structural engineering, point of view versus a drafting point of view. And architects, once they understand the parameters, they can design it the same way. Sure. But let's kind of talk about the different people that can help with this, right? Because there's the architects, there's structural engineers, there's draftsmen, whether they're in-house. We've done it for so long that we traditionally had people in-house drawing, and we would work with our factories back and forth with shared CAD files.
Right, but something new to market, not so new, but something that's being fully embraced now are all of these third-party partners that you can contract with either on a one-off basis or on a suite of products from them who, oh my gosh, they are so fast.
They are.
And they are so effective. They have a team of people just drawing. And their turnaround time is phenomenal. There's people domestically, there's people offshore. Again, we're in this global community and there are partners everywhere who totally understand modular construction and can take that sketch, literally that hand-drawn sketch, and convert it into plans.
Yeah, and a lot of them will turn them around in 24, 36 hours. Imagine that. You send a sketch. I mean, you have to give them detail. It's not just, send them a picture and hope they get all your design parameters right. We've always traditionally built, to our standard, not the factory standard on how we, prescribe things. But yeah, these third parties, I mean, it is so fast and you can get a plan back in front of a customer within 2-3 days and not just the plan, but they can be 3D.
Yeah.
Rendered.
Yeah.
It is. It's amazing.
Color. Yep. The choices are really endless.
So I just have to say it, Jen. I mean, this is absolutely amazing. So we have people from New York. We have people from Quebec. And I'll call out some names in the end here. I don't want to get too far off topic. Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Tiffany's at our new dining room, it looks like. Awesome. We got Dublin, Ireland in the house. And, we got 2 Irelands in the house. So, hey, listen, this is awesome. Thanks so much for joining us today. We're definitely going to have a shout out. We'll go through the questions in the end and that way people can hear what we have to say because I know a lot of us have to get back to work. Yeah,
but this is a great point as well. So many folks are working from home these days. And as a result, just in the last 10 days, the design queries coming into us have changed dramatically. And folks, I mean, I got 3 phone calls last week, right, from friends of mine who have since converted their walk-in closets to home offices.
Yeah, that's right. It's been a big thing. They're taking pictures and putting it online.
Yeah.
And put locks on the door so their kids can't get in.
That's exactly right. They're asking me, how do I put a lock on my closet door?
Right.
But just this week, we got a bunch of inquiries, for new homes, new plans to be drawn, all specifically requesting a dedicated home office. So that's how the environment is changing.
It is
so
changing
quickly.
Rapidly changing. All right, Jen. So let's get into some of the processes and the logistics of starting to design a modular home, because this is pretty important.
Yes.
I mean, it's important in site-built homes as well, but it's super, super important in off-site construction, modular construction, because of the process that we use and the volumetric size of our manufacturing, the boxes that come in or the modules that come in. we need to be able to make sure logistically we can get to where we're going. Wouldn't you say?
Right. And I really love this about our process because it protects the client, it protects the homeowner. Before we do all of this work designing this beautiful home with that, Nichiha cladding and hardwood floors inside, we need to know that we can get there. We need to know that we can build. We need to know that the home that we're designing fits on that lot.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes when you don't start there, you design this beautiful home, which has this amazing walkout basement, only to find there's not enough grade.
Right. It's a flat lot. You can't have a walk. Well, you could, but it's a whole lot of work to have a flat lot. But that's really it. So, logistically wise, regulation wise, we're a coastal builder. Some of our homes are in high wind zones. Some of our homes are on piers. Some homes, we in the past used barges to take the houses to on islands.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many variables. And, traditionally, designers, if they didn't have the land, they design on a flat plane, right? And then all of a sudden you go, oh, well, I got to mirror that house to the, marriage them to the land. And if the land slopes this way, but your garage is over here, it might be better on this side. And that's just some of the things that are really important logistically.
Right. And that enables us to take into account for things like drainage, and views, because again, we're in that coastal area. We really want to maximize any type of indoor, outdoor living space and those views. So really having that site survey is something we try to get sooner in the process rather than later. That's a really important step in the process that we've adopted.
Sure. And one of the big ones, just that we're going to touch on it, but not get too deep into it, is transportation. Mm-hmm. Right? Can we get to the site? Not every site is made for modular. It really is not. There's certain parameters that'll stop us. Roads have to be a certain width. Sometimes people want to build all the way up in the mountain in the woods. Right. And if they're not willing to clear a big enough path for us to get in there with the trucks and the cranes, bridge heights could be a difference for shipping. So there's a whole lot to take into consideration. And, it's all stuff we can help you with.
Definitely. We've developed some amazing checklists on all of these topics, actually, in terms of an intake form, questions to ask the client in terms of what's important to them. We've also developed checklists in terms of when we go to that site to make sure that we can get there and what we're designing really is appropriate for that site. And access points. And keep in mind that there could be more than one way to get there. The way the crow flies isn't always the best way to take the trucks. We just had that happen to us this past weekend where we were thinking to ourselves.
Yeah, we're driving to go look at a house, right? We did a video on it actually this weekend. We're driving and Jen goes, well, the GPS says go that way. I said, I know, but there's no way that truck got that way. So I went, and she goes, well, that's true.
Yeah, so, exactly. So we tried to follow the route that the trucks would have followed just a few days before. So, you definitely need to keep that in mind. Again, in terms of logistics, the other thing that the factory can work with you on is carrier lengths and what can fit on those carriers, not just in terms of height, but also in terms of length.
That's right. Each state, has New England's going to be different than in the Midwest, different than the South, and what the regulations are. We have older infrastructure up here, so it limits us a little bit more on the size that we can do. You get to Texas and the Midwest where it's big open highways. I think you can build, 15, 20 feet wide and go down the highways, no problem. So, well, let's talk about, all right, we're at the lot now, Jen. What are some of the things that we need to figure out while we're at that lot when designing, right? Not by looking and trees clearing, but if I'm a designer, what do I need to pay attention to?
Well, it's almost before you get to the lot. It's some things that you need to pay attention to. You need to know your surrounding areas, your zoning requirements, whether or not there are any height restrictions, lot coverage restrictions.
Right. FAR, we call it in Fairfield County, right?
Yeah. So you do need to do a little bit of homework before you actually go to the lot.
Yeah.
And then once you get there, you're looking for those natural elements that you can definitely take advantage of. And also keep in mind that if it's a heavily wooded lot, just whether or not any trees will have to come down. The tree warden is another one that you might have to contact.
We have some tree wardens up in our neck of the woods sometimes that you have to get approval from when we were building. But I have to say, you're absolutely right. Understanding zoning, those of you that are in the Midwest or in parts of Pennsylvania or somewhere where it's just open land is one thing. But there's a lot of you out there that are building in more urban environments where you have 50 by 100 lots. You have to worry about drainage. You have to worry about lot coverage size. Is it pervious? Is it impervious as far as your concrete, your paving, your roof lines? And, if you take down one structure, do you have to channel all the water into cold tech chambers? There's all kinds of things, but there's processes in place that you can manage and go through all of that and, try not to miss them. But you don't want to miss them because it puts you back to redesign if you don't get it right in the beginning. It
absolutely does. And one thing that you really want to be aware of, again, depending on where you're building, is sewer versus septic. That is a very big question that we try to answer pretty early on in the process. The other things that we need to pay attention to is ledge and dramatic fall-offs, right?
Yeah, ledge, water tables, drop-offs. For us being on the coast, we got to do soil samples quite often. If we're doing pilings or concrete piers, whatever the case is. So, so a whole lot of things you got to know if you're getting into building modular. And like I said, it's a ballet of coordination, but all the coordination you got to think it through up front. There is none of this. Oh well, yeah, let's move that wall 2 inches. We don't do that. That's what makes us so efficient, because we spend more time thinking it through.
So before you get into that one, just to stay on this topic, what you're trying to figure out, when you do that lot inspection and when you're understanding all of that zoning, you're trying to understand your maximum building envelope size. How big can this house actually be? What can my footprint actually be? Yeah. And sometimes the clients aren't asking for a big home, but certainly you need to know what your restrictions are and making sure that you stay within those. And the other questions that you want to answer very early on in the stage is what's the structural scope of the work? Are you designing a home with a attached garage, detached garage, porches, decks? Where is the driveway going? These are all important questions that you want to ask before you do that lot inspection or shortly thereafter.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is where those intake forms are so valuable. Everybody knows when you sit down with a customer, the conversation can go from one direction to another. Sometimes we end up as marriage counselors, it feels like, as we're going back and forth between them. But having those intake forms, having that information all spelled out so you don't miss anything in the beginning for the design process is invaluable, and it'll save you a lot of time.
It will. It will.
So, hey, you went above and beyond on that one. You're going to get me in trouble here, right? So I get a freebie. All right. Designing a new home. Let's talk about some of the common terms, Jennifer, right? Let me put this up here. All right. Some of the common terms that we always look at is feasibility studies. We'll talk about all these: value engineering, mate walls, module, box, right? So let's start off with, what is a feasibility study?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, in the lowest level of answer, it's all of the questions that we just asked, that we just rolled through, right? Is this project feasible? Can we actually build this? That's the question that we ask ourselves pretty much every single day when we're working with a client. You always want to ask yourself that question. And essentially, that's the root of a feasibility study. Yeah,
it really is. Some of the other things that we had up there: value engineer. Value engineering. So what does that mean exactly? Basically, it is this: a customer comes to you with a complex plan, which is great. And we say, all right, well, we can build that. However, if you were to make X, Y, and Z changes, it works within the parameters of how we design and build. We can get more done in the manufacturing plant than we'll have to do on site, which is saving us money. So there's value engineering. So yes, we can build whatever you want. Not a problem. I'll either build some of it in the factory and site build the rest on site.
That's exactly right.
But the reality of it is, we always try and work with our customers and bring value to them and say, well, this could save you $10,000 or $5,000, or even if it's $500.
So what are some examples of that? Like how do we often save our clients money? Because what are some of those things that tick up that price? We talk about it all the time in terms of foundation and, we have a slide that we can actually, coming up, that we can talk about this a little bit more in terms of how you could value engineer a plan on the lowest level. We're not talking about going from a 4,000 square foot, 2-story home to a ranch. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is just those fine details.
Sure. Well, I mean, I'll just give you a quick one right away. Everybody wants 9-foot ceilings on the first floor, what have you. But, a lot of people don't know if you go to a 8'9" ceiling, a 42-inch upper cabinet, you need less trim if you're going to do trim from the top of the cabinet to the ceiling now, right? You're not doing another layer, which is a form of value engineering, right? Because maple's expensive, oak's expensive, all the hardwoods are expensive. So there's things that you can think through that translate into savings for the customers.
Absolutely.
And most people would not know the difference between an 8'9" and a 9-foot ceiling.
No, they wouldn't.
Wouldn't know it.
They wouldn't. And once that home is built and they look around and they feel the space, they think to themselves, oh my gosh, thank goodness. Thank goodness we went with this ceiling height.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So mate wall. Let's talk about a mate wall. This is a common term, but people and a mate wall, and you know what, you said it the other day when we did our walkthrough. So if you go back and look at our video we put up, I think it was Sunday, a mate wall is basically where two of the modules come together.
Right.
They're mating together.
Right.
Right. So I think that that's just a common term you're always going to hear. And I had somebody ask me just the other day, and he was a builder, a newer builder, do I need to do a 2x6 mate wall on both sides, or can I do a 2x4 mate wall on both sides? Right. So you just have to understand what it is, but that's a really common denominator in construction and modular construction in general. And there's just ways to, really use that to your advantage.
Sure. And in an upcoming episode, we'll talk about those differences and the advantages to each, to further understand that.
Sure. All right. Well, let's move forward here, Jen. Designing a new home. Let me put this up here for you.
Yeah. So again, people ask us, where are the differences between designing into modular construction and designing into a traditionally site-built home? And something that, we wanted to answer that question clearly and concisely, because the one fundamental difference is the planning that goes into it. So designing with modular construction in mind from the very outset is one of the best ways to maximize the benefits and efficiencies of the approach offers. Design and build homes from the inside out. Ask your clients how they want to live in this home. And it sort of marries back to the way that we construct our homes, because we construct from the inside out. We talk about this all the time. So if you design from the inside out and you have modular construction in mind from day one, it proves to be a much more efficient and improved process for sure.
Yeah, it really does. Hey, how come you didn't tell me I had stay tuned? We'll start and shortly still up there, but I took it off already. Oh my
gosh. See?
Why didn't you guys tell me out there that I left that up there? I'm so into talking about this, I'm not paying attention to that portion of it. All right, so let's talk about designing the home.
Yeah.
Let's see what we have. All right, this is New Hampshire Design Collaborative, Amy. So Amy has been a designer in the modular construction world for a long time. Amy, if you're out there, hello.
Yeah, definitely.
Been a while.
Love her plans. They definitely suit our marketplace. And as you can see, she has beautiful renderings that she does. And these plans, I think she's collaborated with some of our manufacturers as well. So you might find these plans out there, not just on her website, but on others as well. And here we can look at, if you put that back up, Dave, for a minute, we can talk about some of the terms that we brought up earlier, like value engineering and mate walls. So it is a little bit small, but if you zoom in on your end, you can see where those lines come together. That's what we're calling the mate wall.
Right down the center of the house. It's running this way. I wish there was a way for me to use a pointer on screen and show that to you, but maybe what we can do is we can pull that up in another episode, or we can do a blown up portion of that, Jen, and really show it to them. But it really is. If you look in the first floor of the red house, you can see it. It almost runs right to the end of the table of the kitchen dining room, right down the middle there. That would be a mate line on this house and where our modules would come together.
Right. And another thing in terms of value engineering, you can see how this home has what we call jogs, where, the lines, you can see a lot of L-shaped lines that the foundation would have to follow as well. So wherever you have those L's and T's, if you will.
That's right.
That's what adds to the cost of a home. Anytime you have those protrusions, I guess you would call them, that's where that whole boxy thing first came from, right? Because that is probably your opening price point when you have a very square or rectangular form.
Well, you do. Listen, it's the same in site building or any other building. The simpler the home, I say this lightly, the simpler the home is, typically the less typically the more cost effective it is to build from the ground up. That's just not the structure, but it's also the earth moving, the foundation, everything else. Now I take that back a little bit because simple is hard. When you get into modern style homes, right? Contemporary modern style homes, there's a lot more finesse. The detail's a little bit different. And all of a sudden, well, I did simple.
I know.
But simple now just got a little bit more expensive because of what it takes to get that home to the finish and that look and that cleanness that a modern contemporary home has. So that's why I say it with a grain of salt. So
absolutely. So yeah, so these are some examples of some beautiful homes. Again, New England style homes, but really belong anywhere across the country.
Yeah, for sure. So you want me, let's go.
Yeah, let's put this slide up as well, because again, here is a point of differentiation between how we choose to build and how others might choose to build. And I'm sure other folks who employ offsite construction bump into this as well. When designing for modular construction, more decisions are made up front. So much thought and planning goes in. I mean, as you've seen in some of the other videos we've done, when our homes are set, the towel bars are hanging up, light fixtures are in, like all of those selections are made. All of those choices are made, you know, the tile selections, the flooring, nothing is left to happen until after construction. So from a planning perspective, there's a lot of pressure on that segment of modular construction. We put a lot of pressure on the planning, but the end result is really remarkable.
It really is. I mean, but that's again the detail, right, is so important up front. So the attention to detail, that's what I was trying to say. The attention to detail in the beginning will save you all the headaches in the world in the end. You want to have a successful offsite modular project with zero to little change orders from start to finish. You got to put in the detail work up front.
Definitely.
You can't gloss it over. You need to look at every inch of that plan.
Right. And like the slide says, traditional construction projects may allow for design work to overlap with the construction process. And that for me is dangerous territory.
It is.
For me, I just want everything done, you know?
Yeah.
And like Dave said, that results in little to no change orders, few delays, and next to no cost overruns.
It really does. And believe it or not, you know, if you got any site builders out there watching this, the customers love the way that this is done for one reason only. It takes the stress out of their life. They put it in all up front, and then they spend the rest of the time just excited to see the house coming.
It's really true. So like the true construction process in their mind is pretty easy because they're done with making all of those decisions. Nothing's left. They can just truly enjoy the process and watch the product unfold, essentially.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. All right. Designing a new home. How is it different? This is a, you know, kind of, we can go all day on this. Right. But the modular manufacturer, and this is a big one that we want to tell everybody, the modular manufacturer is your partner. They are a part of your team. That's what you have to understand. You may be the builder, you know, or you may be the developer, right? Or whether it's commercial or residential, whatever the case is. But now you have a factory of hundreds of people that are there to assist you with resolving anything that may come up. And that is a big value add, wouldn't you say? Yeah,
absolutely. Because they're there for you before and after, right? So, you know, we offer, a 1-year checkup on our homes, and that factory, like we're on the phone with them until the very end. So pick a good partner is what we would say there.
Yeah, for sure. So let's just run through these. So we have design, you know, promote value engineering. We spoke about that a little bit earlier, so I don't think we have to rehash that. We have, design for the efficiency and reduced waste, right? So energy efficiency, whether you're a green builder, I don't know if you saw, we had Mark Willie on yesterday. the king, the guru of anything green and,
Right.
and energy efficient. We can design in a way to where we reuse and recycle our excess material. A lot of people don't know, a lot of manufacturers use that material, the excess material, to actually heat their facilities.
Anything that can't be reused or repurposed.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a big win. We minimize risk throughout the process. Fewer workers on your job site, that helps you minimize risk. They're all in the factory. They're not on the job site.
Yeah.
There's, that leads to safety. This is a big one that is a hot topic right now. We can design into disassembly. And we recently did this where we disassembled a home and moved it down the road because clients had come to us, their home had burned down in a fire and they needed to move quickly. And we had a model home that we were looking to switch out, and we took that model home apart and moved it down the road onto their foundation.
100%. And even in today's world with COVID, there's companies out there. This is why modular is another great choice. And I'm not going to get too far off topic with this, but we can design these for temporary use somewhere.
Right.
It's such as a crisis like we're having now for the hospitals. Right. And then they can be moved and put in a permanent situation. It's not a disposable. It's not a throwaway.
Right. It can be repurposed. Yeah. I mean, that is solving so many problems on so many different levels.
It does. It really does, especially in today's market. But, hear me loud and clear on this. Modular homes are a permanent solution. They are not designed to be moved and broken down over and over and over again. But in certain circumstances like COVID, we can do certain things to get us through a crisis and then go and move it and put it on a foundation somewhere where somebody can enjoy it. Yeah. A hotel can reuse it. Right. That's another big thing. So if you're listening in hotels, there's an opportunity here for that. Dormitories. I mean, the list goes on and on. So it's so much better than filling our landfills with empty FEMA trailers, right?
For sure.
Nobody likes that.
Right. And we've talked about this in the past, create a hybrid approach where you can do one part modular construction and the other part site-built construction. We see a lot of folks creating, setting two modular structures next to each other and then building on site a beautiful open foyer or a grand entry or something of that nature. We talked about the post and beam home that we're working with as well. So you can definitely utilize and design into that hybrid construction.
Yeah, for sure. For sure you can. Let's move went too far. Look at that. I think we're about to the end here, Jen. We weren't too far off, just a few minutes.
Right.
So let's put this up here. One of the biggest values, and how do you get, before we put it up, one of the most important things you can do, and what you will find out in our industry more than any other industry, is how willing people are to help.
Absolutely.
We're 3-4% of the market, depending on who you talk to. And it's amazing. You will find out that a factory will talk to you, another builder will talk to you. The only place we can go up in our industry is that way, up. And I think that you're going to find by getting involved with local organizations, talking to other builders, the NAHB Building Systems Council is huge. That council, so everybody knows, has grown leaps and bounds over the years. It has become so big. I think even I don't know if Devin agree with me or not, but I think we're going to have a bigger room next year out at in Orlando at IBS. That room was real tight. And then obviously you have the Modular Home Builders Association. Got to be involved, get involved. And then you have the Modular Building Institute, which puts on World of Modular and some other things. Right. This industry is growing fast. We got people from, we got people on here from Ireland, Europe. They're all, they're coming over here. They're doing work over here. They're building over here already.
I know. And it is amazing. And these folks are your partners. They're great resources. There's amazing learning tools on their websites. Definitely check it out. And feel free to reach out to us too. I mean, we have, some experience with this and have helped other builders. And we're really looking to recruit right now more people into modular construction because there will be a pent-up demand. There's no doubt about it. And this is just a shorter build cycle. It's a safer way to build, more predictable process. And we hope others will check it out.
Yeah, for sure. It really is. We really hope that you got some value out of this today, and that you are, if you're not in modular, you're considering modular. This is kind of what we do now. You know, we're trying to help people. We're trying to grow this industry. We do a lot of work with the trade organizations as well. Mm-hmm. And it's just super important that everybody understands what we do and what modular is. Wouldn't you say? I would. All right. So let's ask some quick questions and answers. That's the end of today's presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. So listen, if I get names wrong, don't send me any hate mail. I'm trying my best. So Keisha Black, right, has joined us from New York City. Thank you very much. Rick Hawkins, I'm going to have you on the show, buddy. I'm not hearing from you, but I know you're listening and watching. Thanks, Rick. Always appreciate being here. And Tiffany McCall, RWC Warranty. And just so everybody knows, Tiffany McCall on the site, she is the chair, this year's chair for the Building Systems Council. Mm-hmm. Let me rephrase that. We have a female chair at the Building Systems Council, which I think is brilliant, smart, and Tiffany, well-deserved. I'm so happy you logged in and you always say hello. I love the support you always give us. All right, so we're in Quebec now, right? Alexandra de Gagny? Oh. Yeah. Is that silent?
I don't know.
All right.
But we're going to say thank you.
We're going to, yeah. So we have Robert, I'm assuming it's Bex or Beeks from Doylestown, PA. Hey, listen, Robert, love Pennsylvania. I'm from Pittsburgh myself. Steelers, Penguins, just throwing it out there. And then we have, we have Alexandra as well. He made a comment. Great looking houses, by the way. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Those were a collaborative effort of a team of people over the years, for sure.
JP on here asking, let's see, why are so many of the larger UK modular companies finding it difficult to stay in business? Is it down to the lack of volume? Well, can't really answer that specifically, but I know that we are looking to recruit more builders into this neck of the woods and get some great design out there. Plant Prefab has an amazing selection of homes because they have amazing architects designing into the process.
Yeah. But I think to answer your question, JP, with the UK and the market, even if our market, one of the things is that I know you deal with over there, as we deal with here, is the burdensome and regulations. Right. And I think that's all starting to change now as more people are coming to offsite. The regulations are going to change and lighten up. So, we appreciate you logging in. I can't speak wholeheartedly. I talked to a lot of people over there, but I'm fairly sure that it's probably just the regulations that we have to deal with that are a little bit different because we are transporting homes and we have third-party inspections, and it can make it difficult if you don't understand the process.
Right.
So, but maybe we can find out a little bit more and have a better answer for that. Mm-hmm. JP Laughlin from Ireland. What's up, JP? Colette. Hey, Colette from Dublin, Ireland. We got to go to Ireland.
I know, seriously. Right? And Robert had another question about the mechanicals, and this is a great point. We are totally going to get into this in future episodes.
Yeah, we
are. In terms of, your comment is vertical mechanical space, great asset in modular buildings. Designing into the MEPs is an unbelievable advantage in terms of modular construction.
Well, here's what's even cooler, right? So with the shift to offsite construction, and I learned about this at World of Modular, and I'm not going to drop any names, but the mechanical companies, some of them are now designing specific units just to work with offsite construction. Mm-hmm. That is huge because we've always had to design around the mechanicals, and it could be a pain in the butt, quite honestly, sometimes. But now that the shift is starting to happen, we have mechanical companies that are looking at this right now and coming up with solutions that make more sense so we can get more work done at the manufacturer, less work done on site. Yeah. Nothing against mechanical contractors. We're still going to need everybody to tie everything together. But the reality of it is it's happening and people are paying attention to it.
Right. So we'll talk more about that in the
Thanks,
future.
Robert. Man, you got some good questions. Dude.
I know. And then last comment, serious Steelers, Cleveland Browns, baby. Oh, no.
What? Hey, Rick, come on now. Listen. That's it. You're off the show, buddy. We're done. We're done.
All right. We're not going to go there. But we do hope that, we shared a little bit of information on design in terms of modular construction. Again, the big difference between what we do and what perhaps others do is just the planning process. That's really the biggest difference, which has to happen anyway. So you might as well pull it forward and get it done with.
we're growing in everything that we do. We have our show a couple of days a week now. We want to thank everybody for signing on. We're here to help. You know, if you have questions, reach out to us and look for us. We got a lot of things coming up. I got to plug it again. We have our new website getting ready to launch. It's going to have the videos, the podcast. It's going to have a blog. What else is going to have? Yeah, something else, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll be yeah, right. One-stop shopping. But yeah, please be on the lookout for other LinkedIn Live events that we are launching. We have a great product spotlight coming up. We just had our expert interview with Mark, which was outstanding. Yeah,
tomorrow. This is a big deal. So tomorrow at 11 o'clock, it's different than our regular time. AM Eastern. I gotta say that. I think everybody lives in the East Coast. So AM Eastern, we are launching our heat map with Housing Innovation Alliance. Now, the Housing Innovation Alliance, in collaboration with the NAHB and other members, DuPont and so forth, have built a heat map. So if you're looking to get into this industry, you're going to find out about it tomorrow. There is going to be a site where you can log on, and no matter where you are in the country, in the world, you can find modular builders, component builders, you can find certified framers, and it's all going to be mapped out across the country. It started off with just, like 100, but I think there's over 800 or something on there now, and it's going to be big. And I think it's going to be one of the greatest things that our industry has seen in a while. And big thank you to the Housing Innovation Alliance for putting that together. And thank you, because I get to launch it right here on Dave Cooper Live, which is even cooler.
It'll be a lot of fun. So hopefully we see you all tomorrow. And until then, stay well, stay healthy. And we'll see you next time. Yeah, thanks everyone. Really appreciate it. And if you're going to build, use offsite, build modular. That's what I believe in. Bye now. Bye.